Today I'm talking to Laurel West. Laurel recently edited the report by the Economist Intelligence Unit called Redefining the Digital Divide.
We looked at a variety of countries in terms of their geographic size and the challenges that they face. We identified some challenges that were common to all of them. First and foremost is the issue of affordability. A lot of the countries that we covered, like the US, the UK, Australia, they have very impressive statistics in terms of broadband access and usage when you look at it on a macro level, but when you scratch below the surface, the picture isn't quite so rosy. In Australia, for example, only 40% of the lower income households have access to broadband. And you can imagine, and they cite affordability as the most important issue in terms of having access. Then you look at a country like India, which we also covered, and to a lesser extent Russia, where incomes are even lower, affordability is even more of a factor. The other major challenge, which is not unrelated to affordability, is funding. The telecoms industry and the governments are struggling to come up with models that make sense in terms of rolling out accessibility to rural areas, for example, where the profitability is not going to be anywhere near as high as it would be in the denser urban areas.
Did your research find significant differences between developed and emerging markets?
Yes, it did. In terms of the affordability was the biggest issue. The situation is far more dire in emerging markets such as India, where incomes are much, much lower. And also in terms of overall infrastructure. The telecoms infrastructure in India didn't reach villages even before the advent of the internet.
Your research said that the digital divide needs to be redefined. What did you mean by redefine?
Well, what we found in our research was that a lot of the talk and a lot of the action is still focused very much on access, when there are some larger issues that need to also be defined. There are divides emerging throughout the digital world. A lot of policymakers in particular spoke to us about the impact of increased accessibility. What was it really doing in terms of improving the socioeconomic status of most of their citizens? And they found that in a lot of cases there were some questions being raised about what they call useful usage and even adoption rates. In the UK, for example, the government has adopted a digital by default policy, but at the same time 21% of the population doesn't know how to use email or a search engine or to conduct a transaction online. And so they think that a lot more effort needs to be expended in terms of teaching people about the usefulness of the internet and how it can change and improve their lives in order for them to reap the benefit.
If we all accept that we need to redefine the challenge and we do redefine it, do you have any thoughts on what we do next?
I think that one thing that is possibly missing is the industry perhaps needs to take a closer look at their customer base and just who they are serving. Even within metropolitan areas, there are going to be consumers in lower income groups that could benefit hugely from whether it's basic access or improved access in terms of speeds. But to understand what they really need and what they can pay for and how it can all be brought together and made to happen, I think there's quite a large gap there that could benefit from some more understanding on the industry's part in terms of the actual markets that they're serving.
Laurel, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your answers.
Thank you, Joe.